So first let's talk materials. We will need an old t-shirt, a pair of scissors, and unfortunately I misplaced my big fabric scissors, so I'm stuck with the little ones today. And then you'll want either a needle and thread or a sewing machine and thread. I'm going to go with a sewing machine. So step number 1 is to sew the bottom of the shirt closed. If your shirt has a pattern on it and you want the pattern to be visible on the outside of the bag, then you'll first need to inside out the shirt. However, I don't want to see the pattern on this shirt once the bag is finished, so I'm going to leave it right side out, keep it folded in half, and we're going to sew right along the bottom. I'm going to be using a sewing machine to do this, and I just need to give a quick word. If you have problems with the sewing machine, don't ask questions in the comments because I won't be able to help you. But seriously, in all seriousness, I'm not very good with sewing machines, so if you do have questions, I unfortunately am not going to be much help. But at the same time, the good news is if I'm able to do this project on a sewing machine, I have faith that you can tackle it too. I just have some random white thread already set up on the machine, so that's what I'm going to use. I'm just going with a basic stitch pattern and a stitch length that's on the shorter end, and hopefully I don't regret that because that just means it's worse if I need to seam rip. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure my shirt is folded in half, evenly along the edges, and then I'm going to sew the bottom edge together. And that ought to do it. So the bottom of my shirt has been sewn, so now I need to inside out it. So the bottom is like such, sewn closed, and then the top looks like the inside of a normal t-shirt top. So the last thing we need to do to turn this from a t-shirt with the bottom sewn closed into a bag is we need to cut the sleeves off. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a curve from just under where the sleeve attaches up to the top, do that on both sides, and then I'll also cut this top piece down a little bit longer to a point that matches with the sleeves, and then we'll be good to go. A couple thoughts on how to do this. 1, you can just freehand everything. 2, you can make a little template and trace it on there with some chalk. You can make some chalk lines first and then cut it. Or a final option, which is what I'm going to do, is I'm going to cut the one side and then I'll fold the shirt in half and use the first cut side as my template for cutting the second side. So for my second side, I'm going to fold it in half and use my first cut as a guide. And this does not need to be exact. And a bigger pair of scissors would make this go so much faster. So now to complete the handles, I'm going to cut down along here to about the same height as this cut down here, basically just kind of a curve right along through there. And if your scissors are sharp enough, you can cut through all your layers at once. I'm gonna attempt that. I don't know if this will work. Now at this point we can open it up and we'll have ourselves a nice large tote bag. Now this is pretty much it. I do have a couple of thoughts. One thing is, depending on the size of the shirt, your straps may end up really long. Something you can do is tie the tops of the straps off like I'm showing here. Another thing of note is that as you hold stuff in your bag, the handles will stretch just because the fabric does. And here you can see on the edge of this cut piece from the t-shirt sleeve, as you stretch it, the edge kind of rolls in. That's just the nature of these shirts. That's totally fine. Nothing to be concerned about. If you do have concerns about the edge unraveling and fraying, then you can always use a product like Fray Check. It's washer safe. You just put it along the edge and it prevents it from fraying. Personally, I haven't found this to be an issue with these kinds of t-shirts. And here's a look at the finished bag. It's a pretty good size too, and because the t-shirt material has a natural stretch to it, it can carry a lot of things. I'm going to use this as a project bag for my crochet projects, and as you can see here, it easily holds 4 full skeins of yarn, and I could fit whatever project I was working on in there as well. And then just for fun, here's one of my cats hanging out in the bag for a moment. Of course, the bag went straight into the wash before I start storing crochet projects in the bag, but the nice thing with this project is since it's just a t-shirt, you can wash the bag like you would wash any other t-shirt. But I hope y'all enjoyed this project, and thanks so much for watching. Happy crafting!